my friends. Happy Friday to you. You're watching The Breakthrough Show with your host, Jessica Dugas. I'm so excited to be here with you today for this exciting episode with Karen Ramsay-Smith. I'm so psyched for this. Um, we are going to be diving into a deep conversation about healing, transformation, stepping into the fullest expression of who we are and what our guest calls your soul radiance. There are moments in life when everything shifts. We all know about these moments when we are faced with loss, change, and adversity so deep that we have no choice but to listen to the call of our soul. And it's in these moments that we have the opportunity to break down, or what we like to do here, break through. My guest today is someone who truly embodies the essence of resilience, healing, and soul alignment. She has walked the path of deep loss, self discovery, and transformation and has emerged as a guiding light to others. Karen Ramsay-Smith is a soul alignment coach, energy practitioner, and transformational coach. And if you recognize her name, it's because she was part of something very special here on the Breakthrough Show Network. Last November, Karen was featured in our documentary film, The Friendship Paradox, where she shared powerful insights on connection, healing, and authenticity. We even showed a clip of behind the scenes of the film on Beyond 2D, where she talked about grief, which was so incredibly powerful. Today, she's here to take us on an even deeper journey, the breakthroughs that have shaped her life, the wisdom she's gained, and how she now helps others align with their true soul frequency. We'll be talking about overcoming burnout and grief, rediscovering purpose, the power of nature in healing, and how to truly embody your soul radiance. So, if you've been feeling disconnected at all, searching for something more, or just needing a dose of inspiration, this episode today is definitely for you. So, without further ado, please put your hands together in the comments and welcome Karen Ramsay-Smith to the show. Karen, welcome. I'm so excited to finally have you on the Breakthrough Show. It's been a long time coming.
Oh, it's amazing to be here, Jessica, and really lovely to connect with you again. I absolutely adored doing the Breakthrough Show interview. It was amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I knew back when I interviewed you for the Friendship Paradox that we eventually needed to have you on the show because you and I had a couple of we had a goal to get the friendship questions done, but we had a lot of really fun sort of side rabbit hole conversations. And so I knew that this was going to be a lot of fun today. So let everybody know, starting out, for anybody that's new to you, where you're joining from today, and maybe what that word breakthrough means to you.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So I'm in the Midlands in the UK. And I guess for me, the word breakthrough for me means a moment of choice. So it's really about our choice to change. And I think, sometimes that can come through a hit of intuition. And sometimes it comes from something that's been a long time brewing inside us. And we just need that final piece of insight to help us to break through in that moment. So I guess that's what it means to me. I think I've had a few breakthroughs in my life. Some of them have been gradual, but some of them have been instant. I would say in the most poignant times in my life, they've been very instant. So yeah, and incredibly powerful.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. I think that choice is such a huge part of what we talk about here on the Breakthrough Show Network. And I know for me, when I first started doing a lot of the personal development work on myself, choice was a really difficult thing because it's empowering for me, but also at the same time, it's like, oh, I did this. And so sometimes it can be challenging to find that harmony and not really, step into a place of blame, but more just, I think for me, it was shifting from blame to just grace for myself and know that like we're all on a journey. What has your experience been with that about embracing the choice in things?
I think the absolute power of choice wasn't really shown to me at the beginning, because I felt as if my power of choice had been taken away, because I was in different situations in my work life, in relationships and things like that, where I didn't really sometimes feel like I had a choice. And I think it's that whole feeling that you don't have a choice that almost stops you from getting to that point of creating change for yourself. So it took me a while to actually understand what choice really was, and taking back the power of taking back my personal responsibility for
Right.
my life. Because I really believe that we're not actually brought up in our societies to have the power of choice. We
Right.
almost feel like the choice has been taken away. We've got to, earn this much money, we've got to survive, we've got to have jobs, all of the rest of it. And all of that story takes over this real deep personal power that we have inside us. And when we realize that we do have the power of choice, whether that's to say yes or no to something,
Right.
then suddenly we realize that we can create something for ourselves. And even
Mhm.
if, for me, like it started with making the smallest choice, which wasn't necessarily about taking an action. It was more about creating a choice that something wasn't going to happen for me anymore. And
Mm.
once I'd created that inward choice, things on the outside started to shift and change in all sorts of different ways. So I don't know if that's making sense, but the
Yeah.
started with me with an inward, like a little, almost like a little voice, and me
Mm.
saying, "Okay, yeah, actually, I don't want that, and I do want this," and kind of saying no to something that I didn't want to be involved in anymore
Right.
energetically. And then once I'd made that choice, things started to shift.
Yeah. Yeah. That little that sometimes it's easier, I feel like, to know what I don't want as opposed to maybe I don't know what to fill the space with yet. If anything, I just know that I don't want to do something. And so I do think that that's such a great starting point for people as they're experiencing their own breakthroughs and leaning into that power of choice is just going, I don't want to do this anymore. And then maybe sometimes we have to get comfortable with that in between if we don't know what we do want, that waiting room and everything else that happens there. But I think that's a great starting point. I mentioned in the intro that you were part of the friendship paradox. So before we dive even deeper into your personal journey, we really explored in that film the importance of authentic connection. How has friendship and community played a role in your personal healing journey?
I think for me, I really didn't feel like I had what people call a tribe
Mm,
these days. And so when I was going through all of my stuff, I think for a lot of the time, I felt like I was going through it on my own.
mm,
And for me, the sort of the community started for me online, and it took me to almost step outside of my comfort zone and start creating conversations with people almost that I didn't really know,
right.
only to realize that it wasn't just me. It wasn't me feeling isolated. It wasn't me feeling like it was just me going through that journey. And once I started to express myself a little bit, I ended up just creating this little community in Facebook years ago now. I mean, going back to 2017, and just, I guess, just sort of wondering if I was the only one that was going through what I was going through at the time, and finding out then that I wasn't was such
Mm,
that was a moment of sort of insight for me. And, that was how things started for me, the community of people who were going through similar things, not the same,
right.
but they resonated with not keeping it all on the inside, and
Mm,
actually just having a safe space, I think.
right.
So yeah, I sort of continued with this closed Facebook group, and that was really how my business started.
Mm,
From creating a small online community of women who just really appreciated the safe space to just be themselves without any pressure, without any expectation. And so, yeah, for community, for me, sometimes we have to create that community if we're the one that's feeling on the outsider, or the person that's, not feeling like they're fitting in everywhere. And once I did that, I got opened up to other communities. So it was almost as if these communities, these tribes, if you like, were almost out of my awareness, because I wasn't open to, maybe at that point before all of this happened, before, I wasn't open to being with different people. I was very stuck in being with certain types of people. So yeah, that really, I think that small action of me going outside my own comfort zone just opened up a new world for me.
Right, right. It's amazing to see how that happens sometimes, where those of us who feel like maybe we're missing a certain thing in our life, in this instance we're talking about friendship and connection or community, and then we have to create it for ourselves, but in that process there's so much growth, and then we end up, because now we're opened up to that thing, now we're welcoming more of that into our lives. So it just, that one little step can make all the difference. We're going to take a super quick break, and when we come back, we're going to dive into Karen's story. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this.
Breakthroughs are about more than you might think. They're about discovering who you are, digging deep, reaching to the core of your soul. They're about healing yourself, understanding your beliefs, creating a ripple effect. And it's not just those initial moments that matter. It's about using them to bring more joy into our own lives and the lives of others. It's about having fun, letting loose, enjoying every moment life has to offer. It's about finding a safe space. It's about creating connection. Join us each and every day for exclusive programming, special events, and a community to call home, where we invite you to explore, change the way you look at and live your life, and go beyond the breakthrough. So we ask you, are you ready? We'll see you online at thebreakthroughshow.com.
Welcome back to The Breakthrough Show. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas, and today we're here with Karen Ramsay-Smith talking about your soul radiance. It sounds so yummy and warm, and I just want to bask in it, and it's just so nice. And we were talking about before the show, we were talking about the weather where we are, and this time of year we were discussing how both of our climate are very roller coaster this time of year. 1 minute it's cold, the next minute it's warm. But we were having that conversation of what a beautiful reminder that is for us, that it's okay for us to be up and down every now and then as well.
Absolutely. I mean, the seasons teach us so much, don't they? We're just in that space at the moment, in the UK as well, where we're just in between the winter and the spring. We've got the spring equinox coming up this weekend, and I've just literally, next week I'm finishing a beautiful seasonal group circle that I hold, a small space for women, and that was a winter's circle called Winter's Embrace. And so what I really want to help people to do is to come into the space of being in the season, because quite often we're almost wishing our lives away through the winter and we can't wait to get to the sun again. And yes, the sun is so incredibly powerful. The sun's energy gives us so much energy, but we can also gain so much from the winter and these in-between spaces too. In the winter brings us so much. We can go within, we can recoup our energy, we can really nurture and love and look after ourselves and do that deeper work. But then in this in-between stage is also actually a really beautiful stage, because we can see the spring flowers start to come up from the earth. It's a really great time to plant your seeds of intention in between winter and spring for the rest of the year. And it's just a really beautiful space to be in. And I think we're almost a little bit fearful of the spaces in between.
Right.
And that fear almost stops us then from calming down, being quiet, and actually being in the stillness of this momentary transition between a season. And there's so much magic in that, actually, that we can almost overlook if we
Right.
are just so eager to get onto the spring and get onto the doing and the active stages of the year. So yeah, I think there's a lot of wisdom to be garnered from working with the seasons, and rather than resisting it, if that makes sense.
Right. And so I know, because we had this conversation at some point during our interview for the friendship paradox as well, that nature has been such a powerful force for you in your healing. Can you share about maybe a specific moment in nature that felt like a specific message or breakthrough just for Karen?
Yeah, I mean, I've had many. I've had many, many. I think probably one of the most memorable things that I do remember on my grief journey after I lost my partner to suicide, and I lost both my parents to brain tumors, and I went through 3 different sort of grief journeys with each of those passings. But with nature, it always held me. I always found that when I walked in nature with my dog or alone, I sort of recouped my energy. It brought me down off that anxiety of grief, off that all-encompassing darkness of grief. And by me watching the seasons, it kind of just lightened my heart a little bit, and helped me to go back into my home and sort of start again. And I do remember one moment where I actually learned to connect with trees much better. And I learned to lean on a tree when I was upset. And I found that the tree took my grief down into the earth. And that's a practice that I do with myself now, and with my clients. I actually work to help them to release the heavy energies through the body and through the feet. And I've had a lot of realizations about that as a healer, since I've been on that journey of connecting with trees and connecting with the earth and helping the energies to move back down into the earth, to be transitioned and transformed into new things.
Right, right. I love that. I need to go find a tree. I feel like I need to go
Yeah.
find a tree right now. I just need to go find a tree. It's so interesting though, because even so, I was mentioning that I live very close to the water here, and we have a beautiful beach that I go to often. And even that, like, one of the lessons for me when the sand is very difficult to walk in, especially if like it's a long beach, like you got to find your space. And I was just thinking about this as you're talking, that it's even easy to switch our mindset when it comes to things like this. So it feels uneasy to walk in. There's all these little granules. It feels like not safe to walk on it, but yet it is. It is supportive. So we don't just because something's there to support us, it doesn't necessarily have to be perfect or flat or linear either. We're still supported even in like the messy little pieces of things. I don't know
Mm.
where to put that.
No, that's beautiful. And I always think of, like, when you were speaking now, I think about water. Water is not solid, yet we
Mm,
can float on water, and water holds us. And I have found, and people who I work with and people who I speak to about this, who really enjoy being out in nature, when they actually do spend time being still and give themselves the gift of having that stillness and that connection, that sort of deeper awareness of, where are my feet? What am I seeing? What can I hear? What can I smell? What can I touch? The bark of a tree, or putting your hands in the water, or allowing yourself to float in the water if you enjoy being in the water. Nature holds us in so many different ways. And through those times, mainly through those difficult times, it's when nature really comes in and brings us the most support. And when you work with nature, with the elements in this way, and actually make friends with the elements, make friends, create a relationship with nature and what it's got to offer us, it gives us so much back, in those challenging times, but also in the times when we feel lighthearted and free, and it gives us that even bigger expansion. And that's something that I love to work with, allowing the soul to expand in nature, allowing to use your breath, allowing to use the air to actually expand your lungs and expand how you're feeling, and allowing nature to help you to release Mother Earth, to take those energies that are no longer serving you back, because she's amazing at that. She does it all the time, every day. We don't even think about it, but when we connect with her, she helps us to do that too, with whatever we need to release.
Right, absolutely. Brittany was saying nature is so healing, and I think both of us agree with that as well. Even this
100%.
last week and a half has been so challenging, and even just taking a quick drive down to the shoreline and just standing there, because at this time of year it's cold and nobody in their right mind except me is at the beach. So, but just standing there for a minute and taking it all in, the sights, the sounds, the feeling, breathing in the salty sea air, like all of that just is just for a moment. It doesn't even have to be for a long time, but it is such a healing place. I know that you mentioned about your grief journey, and it's something that you and I really connected on when we did our friendship interview as well. You talk about a moment of deep gratitude within the midst of unimaginable loss. How did you access that mindset? What advice do you have, or where did that come from? What's something that anybody else that's listening that might be going through that can tap into?
I think that only these moments can sort of happen unique to you.
Mm.
But what I would say is that, because of the work that I'd done on myself up to that point, I knew that it was futile to fight the feeling. And the feeling was so deep that the only thing that brought me back to the deep gratitude was surrender. Was to actually accept that it was happening in that moment, and that my partner was no longer on this earth. And actually, that brought me to a moment of deep surrender, that I knew I wasn't in control of life. I knew that I wasn't in control of this moment. But the only thing I could do was control me accepting it and surrendering. And with that kind of surrendering, my heart opened. And it's not something I'm trying to explain it to you now in words, but it's not really something I can explain in words. But all I can say is my heart opened with that surrender. And out of it just came this outpouring, all I can describe as an outpouring of deep love and gratitude, for my life and for the lives of everybody around me.
Mm. It's so beautiful, and surrender is one of those things that I'm not even sure, like, just like so much else in the personal and spiritual development, worlds. I'm not sure that there's an endpoint when it comes to surrender. I think it's a continual choice, like we talked about choices in the beginning, to allow ourselves to surrender in any given moment. And I was speaking of the word control. Oh my goodness, that keeps coming up for me lately too, because we were talking about. I was talking about with my husband yesterday where some of my control things come from, because I've been sort of exploring that lately. I am the first one to make a schedule, make a spreadsheet, these little bits of control. And the reason I recognize for myself that I do that is because I do recognize that there's so much I can't control. Like, there's just so much outside of us that's just not in our, like, a word, it's not it. It's not it for us to control. So I pick at little things like that, like making a schedule. And um do you feel like that's futile at all? Do you think that control is something that we can aspire to anyway, or are we just tricking our minds?
I think we have to have a certain amount of self-control, don't
Mm.
we? and be able to have things that we can control, because ultimately we need to feel safe as human beings. But it's when that safety becomes a bigger focus than the wanting to feel joy in our lives, isn't it? So it's having a balance, isn't it, of being able to create safety for yourself, like most importantly safety within, and those kind of safety things that we create on the outside aren't quite so controlling of us, or we are trying to control them, because we feel the safety on the inside. And again, taking us back to nature, nature is a great way to help us to ground and actually feel safe within ourselves. And I do think that moment of surrender that I had, that surrendering of control I had in that moment, came because I felt quite safe in myself. Even though it broke my heart into pieces, I just had some kind of ability to be able to not be in deep fear in that moment, even though I was deeply heartbroken. The fear wasn't there as much as I may have thought it might have been. And I do think a lot of the reasons why we control is because we're afraid. We're afraid that we're not going to be able to know what's going to happen. And we don't, human beings, we don't like to know, we don't like to be in the space of the unknown.
Right.
Goes back to that liminal space again, that in between, we're desperate to get onto the spring so we can plan our holidays and go out for days. And, what about this moment?
Right.
What about being present in this moment and actually just feeling everything and finding the joy and the gratitude in this moment, whatever that moment looks like? So yeah, I think there's so much wisdom in knowing, like, when you're just being aware of, like, when you're trying to control things, because it does tend to show up in the little things, doesn't it?
Right. It does. It absolutely does for me. Even it's so silly. Like in a couple of weeks, we're taking our girls to 90s con, some of the big cons they have for different, TV shows and things like that. This one is just for the 90s. And anything that you go to like that is a crowd of people. Like it's a lot of waiting, a lot of lines, a lot of bumping into each other. And as an anxious person, it's not the most comfortable place for me, but I love it so much at the same time. So I plan out the whole 3 days. Like, this is what time it happens. This is what time we go in. This is what I'm going to wear, so that I know that gives me a little bit of peace when I'm so anxious about everything else that's going on. So I recognize that for myself, and I give myself grace in those moments, that it's okay for me to be type A for a minute, because everything else is crazy. For sure.
Yeah, I mean, some of that is your personal boundaries, isn't it? Of like
Right.
putting in boundaries of what feels good and what doesn't feel good to you, and that's always like good to have awareness around that, isn't it? And it's just all our own personal, the way we navigate the world, isn't it? And some people navigate it differently to others, but ultimately it's how you feel inside, isn't it? So if having those things in place makes you feel good, then that's got to be a good thing. It's when having everything in place makes you feel constricted, and it's just noticing how it makes you feel, isn't it?
Right. I think if it was up to my husband, he would just go. He would just go, and we're so opposite in that way. And I'm like, but then what if we miss things, and what if we don't get to see who we want to see? It's so funny, the difference in us. I mean, he keeps me sort of going, and I'm like, okay, we got to rein it in. We got to rein it in now. So I want to rewind for a minute and have you, because we talked about so many amazing things already here today, but I want to find out how Karen got to this place that she's in now. Like, take us through, were you just, a little kid in a tree going like, I'm going to be a coach one day? Like, how did this end up this way, Karen?
Okay, I'll give you a little life story in a nutshell. I'll have to be quick. So my earliest memories are playing outside the back of my mum and dad's house in a field that was very, very rarely at that point in time in the 1970s cut down like they cut down the recreation fields, the playing fields, like they do now. The grass was growing long. There was a lot of buttercups and daisies in the fields, butterflies and other insects and bees and birds and things. And my earliest memories are just playing on my own in the field and drawing flowers and catching butterflies in jars and trying to feed them and feeding little birds in my mum and dad's back garden. I was always connected with nature, and I always spent a lot of time on my own playing in nature, even if it was just sat on my mum and dad's back step, like feeding and saving baby birds when I found them, but they'd come out of their nest and things. So I've always had that in me. And as I grew, I think I very much connected and spoke to the butterflies and bees and birds and things when I was a child. And I think as I grew up, that was driven out. I allowed that to be driven out of me, with, I was very arty. I was always very creative. I went to art college and university and things. And as I started off on my career, I ended up, because back in the early 90s, all of the Apple Macs started coming in, and I was driven into sort of graphic design and all of these different things that I got interested in my career. And then actually just ended up going on this career path for 25, 26 years of marketing and communications. So I ended up then just going on a career, climbing a career ladder.
Yeah.
And so this ended up for me just being quite an unhappy process in the end, because I ended up just trying to, climb the career ladder when actually I wasn't actually that happy doing that. I lost my connection with nature for a while. And it was only really when I started getting very overwhelmed and not being able to cope with the amount of work that I had in a senior role that I was kind of forced, if you like, to come back to being in nature, to come back to being more like my childlike self. And then basically coming back to myself through practicing mindfulness out in nature, being quiet after having this stressful period of overwhelm at work. And yeah, I ended up studying mindfulness and connected with nature, and then took some time off work. And that's how I found coaching and mindfulness together and started this community of ladies, and started my Facebook community, and then started my business after that. So I've been in business for 7 years. Over that period of time, as I said, I had those different periods of grief, and had that sort of roller coaster ride as we're all on in running a small business. But I have come to sort of start doing healing work as well as the coaching and mentoring. I also supervise other coaches as well, so I'm a coach supervisor. And then a couple of years ago, I started to really in earnest want to start working with nature and the elements more. And I ended up becoming qualifying as a soul energetics practitioner. I got really interested in the way the universe works, particularly with numbers, and also with human design. So my qualifications now include numerology and human design. And I work with crystals with my healing side of my business. And I actually work with Atlantean healing, which is amazing. It's all connected with the water from the Atlanteans.
That's right up my alley, Karen.
And I actually discovered because I was very into meditation by this time. I'd been practicing meditation for 10 years. I have recently discovered that all of this work that I was doing, drawing the energies down in the feet, that I was in the past an Atlantean healer that actually did that and held onto people's feet and helped the energies to be drawn out through people's feet. So all of these things are like amazingly connected. I then, as I'd done all this deep work on myself, on my heart, particularly opening my heart again in this place of surrender, I then met my now partner, Simon, and we both, through a series of synchronicities, one story that I like to tell is that I had some connection with my trainer on the Wild Soul firewalking training instructor, which we decided to go on in Ireland together. The money that came through from that was such an amazing synchronicity that we knew it was just meant to be, and we signed up to do the firewalking and breakthrough coaching training in Ireland in 2024. So now we're qualified to run retreats together. So I've been on this journey of loss, and I'm also now with a beautiful partner again, and we're now beginning to work together. And I don't know where it's going to go, but it's been an amazing journey so far. And really, for me, my passion to help other people that have come through difficult times, or particularly people who don't feel part of a community, to help people to be in spaces, not only to connect with nature in a quiet, still way, and connect with the elements and help nature to help them, but also to know themselves deeply and to know their worth in the world, so that we don't have more people that are going into the darkness and are losing themselves in the darkness, but they're actually coming into the light, and they're allowing their soul to radiate this beautiful light into the world. Because I really believe everybody has a purpose, and that purpose comes from your individual, beautiful, unique journey on earth.
Yeah. I was getting just drowning in your words, because I was getting misty thinking back to when I first saw you share on social media about your loss. And because we had known each other for quite, and in fact, I think
Yeah.
we originally connected right around the time that you started your business. And I was starting the show. So it's very strange to think about that. That must have been like a really powerful, like energetic time for like things to be blossoming. But anyway, I remember that, and just feeling so connected with you through that post because of the grief that I had experienced in my own life. And so it's so beautiful to be here with you just in this moment where things have sort of come full circle in a way, and watching things blossom and grow and shift over time. I love watching the whole journey, because I think sometimes with social media we can tend to see that light, those light switch moments. Well, once I was this way and now I'm this. You don't really get to see the journey, and I've got to witness that with you. And so I'm over here all emotional. I don't even know where I'm at right now, because I'm feeling some kind of, but it's so beautiful. When you think about where you're at in your business now, and we talked about when we came back from break, that phrase soul radiance, and it's such a beautiful phrase. How do you define that phrase in your own life and with what you're doing now?
Oh, I think for me, everything is connected with the heart, and not just the heart, but the higher heart. So I always know when I'm not in alignment with my soul, when my heart's closed. And for me, the higher heart is what connects us with the higher realms. And we have this part of us here, which is our higher heart, and it's more connected with universal consciousness rather than just about us and our journey. And soul radiance is really about allowing yourself to connect to that, allowing your soul to open up to its mission. So everything that you've been through in your life, you're now radiating that healing love out to other people. And I really believe that through us allowing ourselves to radiate our soul, the light in our soul, that we can really heal and help the world. And more people that turn on that light, ignite that fire within them, and we just pass that flame on to others. So it's really about just becoming the sun, or becoming the flame, or allowing your light to be a beacon for other people.
The thought of that, of going through something and then that becoming what you radiate out, is so beautiful to me. And the reason why is because sometimes when I don't even sometimes, I would venture to say the majority of times when we're going through something really challenging in our lives, we sit here and we go, why though? Why me? Why now? Why this? Like, you can't understand sometimes in the moment, why do we have to go through such challenging things in this life? So the fact that that can be transmuted and then presented outwards to be able to help heal others, heal ourselves, of course, and just be the ripple effect that changes the world, that really puts so much purpose behind the really tough things we have to go through as humans, right?
Yeah, I mean, I love the idea of the ripple effect. So thank you for expressing that, you know, if we cast a stone across the water, it creates one stone creates a massive ripple effect across a, you know, a silent piece of water. And that's really what it is all about, is that you don't have to have this massive vision and mission. I mean, you might end up doing this work and have this incredible huge mission and vision, but that's not what it's about. It's about you accepting these experiences that you're going through in your life. And when you come to acceptance and surrendering into what is the wisdom in this for me, how is this helping me to grow, how is this opening my mind to different ideas, different perspectives about my life and the lives of other people. And within that, you begin to find something that actually feels good and feels purposeful and feels meaningful and fulfilling. And I think that's what a lot we're losing in this world today, and we need to get back, is to feel on purpose, to feel like we're living a meaningful life. And that meaningful life and that fulfillment comes from all of this amazing experience that you've had, that only you can really help other people with, because you've had the experience. Nobody else, no one else can walk in your shoes. And so for you, Jessica, whatever you've been through in your life, you can deeply, deeply help people with that unique unfolding and experience of your soul's journey. And it's only you that can do that for certain people. And this is something that I love to express and to help people to understand, that you are different to everybody else. And that's such a special, unique thing, a unique energy and a unique purpose and mission that you bring to the world just by being you. You don't have to have this great big mission and business and success. You can, you know, some of the most wise, incredible, ripple creating people that have ever lived on this earth, they've been shopkeepers or gardeners or a neighbor that you meet down the street who's somebody that just looks out for you. It's about being opening your heart to connect with people again. And once you start doing that, that mission just grows, that radiance inside you just grows. You know, if we can just let our barriers down a little bit, allow the light in, you know.
Yes, just a little bit, guys, just a little bit. I know that sometimes that's uncomfortable for people. I wrote down while you were talking, feel on purpose. And when you said that, it just, like, I got chills, because I think so many people, especially, you know, entrepreneurs, or so those who have an entrepreneur spirit that feel like they want to do something, they're not sure what to do. We hear all the time, find your purpose. And I think that phrase feels daunting for people that don't feel it, because they're like, like, purpose feels so big. But feel on purpose, like, that's a different thing. That shifts that whole word. And so I have to give you, like, a round of applause for that phrase in particular, because I know so many people. In fact, I had a guest, I'm just remembering this now. I had a guest on the show back, like, in maybe season 4. I'm trying to remember what season is was now, but he came on the show specifically to talk about how purpose is BS. Like, he was just like, there is no purpose. Like, I don't. And it was a very sort of, I don't want to use the word cynical, but I do, like, compared to me. I'm not saying he's cynical. I'm saying compared to my sort of Pollyanna woo-woo lovey way of looking at things, he was very much like, no, purpose is not where it's at. And I feel like maybe it's because people like him perhaps have this sort of feeling of pressure when it comes to purpose. And I think just feeling or being on purpose is so much of a nicer thought to just, whatever you're doing, however you're feeling, do it with purpose instead of finding the purpose.
Exactly that. And it's, you know, if you get up in the morning and find the wisdom in that day, that's your purpose. In that one day, you could find purpose in this moment. It's simple as that. It's like I said, it's not about having this great big thing that you're trying to get to in the future. It's not about having this massive outcome. It's actually about finding the wisdom, the preciousness of life, the joy, whatever emotions are there in this moment. There's wisdom in that. There's purpose in that. There's meaning in that. So it's allowing ourselves to be more present, really, ultimately, at the end of the day.
Well, we've talked about a little bit about being present today, and also that things are kind of fast paced. And also, when you were talking about the ripple effect as well, that sometimes it could be from a small little thing, a little pebble can make this huge ripple, right? But I think we've talked about this a lot on the network already this season. I swear it's becoming a recurring theme here about how society itself, I think, is so fast paced right now, and we're so inundated with information all the time, and things just seem to go very quickly. How do you balance, or I don't even like the word balance, but harmonize this between the worldly, fast-paced, in your face kind of energy to and being with yourself, being present, going within? How do you harmonize those two things, which sometimes can feel very different?
For my particular energy, the way that I am made, and I know this from my human design and my numerology, for me, I am not born to hustle. I'm not born to be a boss babe. That's not my makeup. So for me, in my numerology chart, I'm all nines and sevens. Now, 9 is the humanitarian, and it's all about helping yourself and others to break patterns and create endings. And the 7 is all about the introvert. So it's all about being introspective and creating from within, as within, so without. And my whole chart is 9s and 7s, which is very unusual for anyone. But so I need to spend time, and I know that. And because I've had that confirmed with my energetics, it's almost given me permission to just accept, well, that's me. I don't need to be a person that's online every 5 minutes and scrolling and like comparing myself to other people. It's just not, or trying to do these 10K, 50K months sort of coach. It's not me. That isn't the way that I'm naturally born. So I've learned over the years now to understand that taking time away from the digital world and being in my nature space and being quiet is actually incredibly beneficial to me. I mean, generally, not talking about me, but talking about somebody else or anybody else, we're all suffering from digital fatigue. It actually drains our energy. So for all of us, it's important that we take breaks. And I don't want to be preaching at people what people should and shouldn't be doing, but it's all about noticing your own awareness of when you're feeling in a more activated and stressed state, when you're in the online space, when you're in the digital world, and giving yourself permission to actually say, well, what do I need?
Right.
What do I need? What do I actually need right now to help myself to come back to a calmer, more harmonious feeling inside myself? And allow give that to yourself. Give permission to yourself to come away and take a break. But yeah, knowing my energetics has really helped me to understand, well, that's why I really do suffer with this digital fatigue. That's why I need to take time out of my week and spend a little bit of time on my own. That's why I can't be doing. I need to be more in my feminine energy than I am in my doing energy. So, and that's actually, ironically, helped me to massively grow my business because my energy is better, because I'm looking after my energy. And for me, it's not necessarily about protecting my energy, although I do some energy protection practices to help me. And because I'm working with a lot of energies, obviously, with my clients and, helping other people, I do need to have these practices that help me to let go, and, using my practices to help me to connect with the earth, and allowing the earth and my support, my guides and my support, to help me to keep my energy clean and keep me as a clear channel so that I can do my work. But yeah, I I think for me, it's about just working with your own, what you need,
Right.
and what
Right.
works for you. Some people love it, don't they? Some people love being online all the time. They thrive on
Yeah.
it, but it's
Right.
not for me.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've been exploring this for myself lately. I had this really weird thought the other day, and I'm not even sure I'm sure at the time I knew where it came from. I don't know. But but I was thinking to myself, how many people have access to me? It was just this weird random thought.
Mm.
And so I've been sitting with that for this last week and just processing through it and asking myself what that means, where it came from, what it looks like. And I really do enjoy being on the shows, on social media, online, but I do really need now at this point some time away, and I'm having to train myself through it. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to be on social media at all on Sundays. I'm going to start with Sundays. And last Sunday I caught myself probably 4 or 5 times, and I didn't even remember picking up my phone. Don't even remember it, but all of a sudden I would find myself mid scroll and I'm like, how did I even get here? How did
Mhm.
it even happen? So I'm like, okay, this is proof for me that I need to step back a little bit more, because I do think, like you said, it'll help me show up better to just have that time to refresh myself, which I think is really important. Also, fun fact, while you were talking, I'm also a 7, so that really that really resonated for me as well. Danielle was commenting that she's an 11, which
Oh,
is a fun.
amazing. That's the number.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
fun
so
one as
the
well.
11 is the spiritual one, so, she will be on a deep spiritual journey, and also probably her purpose, every day is to support other people to be in that space and have a wonderful connection on that spiritual journey for themselves.
I really look I Danielle and I have been of course you are, Brittany. So, fun fact, Danielle and Brittany have the same birthday as well.
Wow,
Just different
amazing.
years, and they're both my best friends from different periods of time in my life, which is interesting. So, but Danielle I've known for a long time, and I will say this, I look up to Danielle a lot for her ability to just step away completely when she
Yeah.
needs to do that. Like, she never feels like that pressure, the pressure, or maybe she does, I don't know, but it
Mhm.
never comes across that she feels that pressure to be on, for anyone. And so I just want to tell Danielle that I really
That's
admire you for
amazing.
that.
9s and 11s get on really, really well, so you're probably a
Mm,
very good, connection,
mm,
because us 9s tend to, and 7s and 9s also,
yeah.
because both with the 7 and the 9, the alone time is needed, the recoup time
Mhm.
is needed, and, so 11s are a really good, mentor or person to have support and guidance from on our spiritual journey as a 7 or a 9.
Yeah. So, oh, I love it. See, guys, we're a good match. There it is. All right, we're gonna take one more super quick break, and when we come up, we're gonna finish up our conversation with Karen and leave you with something good. I can feel it. I can feel it. Something good is coming right after this. We'll be right back.
Caldwell Williams. On April 4th, I was 90 years old, grandson of slaves. My parents were first generation free. A long time ago, I embraced the definition of love. Love is the experience of well being, and a friend is one who mutually shares that experience of well being with you, which opens up almost infinite creative possibilities.
We're told as children to go make friends, but what did that look like? And how has it changed over time? Friendship is one of life's greatest gifts, and sometimes one of its greatest challenges.
Someone who is there to support you, someone who is willing to go through the ups and downs of life with you.
Connection, but also the opportunity for learning and deeper connection.
If I don't talk to that person for 2 months, we pick up the phone like we've never stopped talking. To me, that is what a friend is.
Friend to me is someone I can share my joys also the struggles I have.
Friend means somebody that you can talk to and that you can trust.
So a friend to me is actually someone really, really close, an inner circle person.
And I think it's an important discussion to pass on to other generations so they don't get caught being lonely at the end because they haven't thought about friends in different ways.
This is the Friendship Paradox, a raw and real exploration of connection. Through 26 voices across miles and time zones, we reflect on the friendships that shape us, challenge us, and teach us who we truly are.
I need your shoulder.
What does it mean to be a friend? How do we navigate connection in a world that's constantly changing? And what can we learn about friendship by looking within? This isn't just a film about friendship, it's a call to reflect on the relationships we built, the ones we've lost, and the sacred connection we have with ourselves. What does friendship mean to you?
Welcome back to the Breakthrough Show. Please visit thefriendshipparadox.com where you can see 26, I think, fabulous faces talking about friendship, including Karen, which I'm sure you recognized from the trailer as well. So go check that out, thefriendshipparadox.com. Karen, as we finish up today, if someone is here today that is feeling stuck or lost, what do you feel is the most important thing they can do right now to be able to move forward?
Oh, there's probably a couple of things. I think, firstly, get used to not being afraid of being quiet. The quietness and the stillness can bring you so much wisdom. So, yeah, just find a space where you can be happy and be content with being quiet. And that might be a class that you need to go to or practicing, whatever you feel is right for you. Secondly, get to know your energetics. Get to know what energies you're born into this earth with, because you're unique, you're going on a unique journey, and you're very special and you're needed. So discovering your energetics really helps you to understand what your unique, meaningful purpose is being present on this earth. And yeah, they're probably the two things if you feel stuck. Mainly finding wisdom within yourself.
Yeah. It's there. Sometimes we're just la la la. We don't want to listen to it, but it's there for everybody. What is lighting you up, Karen, the most in your work right now?
Oh goodness. I think for me, at the moment, the energetics readings that I'm doing with my clients, which are the radiant expansion readings, which give them their full numerology and human design blueprint. And I work with my own nature codes to help them to understand themselves through nature. But also Simon and I have just launched our very first day retreat, which includes connection with nature outside, being in the stillness, guided and silent meditation. And in this beautiful in-between time of winter and spring that we've spoken about, we're going to be setting intentions for new beginnings and possibilities for the rest of this year by doing a fire walk and also an arrow break. So we're going to be helping people to break an arrow with this part of their throat to break through a fear and set an intention for themselves. So that will be the break.
Exciting. Are you going to post a video of this? Because I need to see this. I need to see this happen. That's so fun. So amazing. Obviously, we have Karen linked down in the show notes. You guys can check that out to connect with her. Anything you'd like to leave our audience with today, Karen?
Oh, just encourage everybody to spend more time, if you don't already, outside, and know that nature is your friend. Like the long lost friend, that you can go to and go back to any single time, and it's always the same. nature is that place for you. So never feel alone. Nature is always there for you.
I love that. So beautiful. And Danielle was saying I needed to hear this today. So I always know that the right people listen to this show, whether you're here with us live or on the replay. I hope that you have many takeaways from this episode today. So thank you so much, Karen, for being here today. I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. It's been amazing to chat with you again, Jessica. Loved it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Such an incredible, soul nourishing conversation today with my friend here, Karen Ramsay-Smith. There's something so powerful about hearing raw, real, transformative stories. And I know that so many of you watching today felt this conversation in your heart. Karen, thank you again for sharing your journey, your wisdom, and your light with us today. Your ability to turn pain into power and loss into transformation and adversity into deep soul connection is a true gift. And on a very personal note, I thank you so much for the work that you are doing in the world. So for those of you watching, if you felt a connection with Karen's message today, I highly encourage you to connect with her. You'll find all of her links down in the show notes below. Whether you're looking for soul alignment, energy work, or transformational coaching, Karen is someone who truly walks the path that she teaches. Sometimes it even has fire on it, you guys. Sometimes. While the Breakthrough Show is going hiatus for a little while, the journey doesn't stop here. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can continue to watch all the amazing shows across the Breakthrough Show network, including Project Joy Live, Spirit Sessions, Magical Melodies, Beyond 2D, all that fun stuff. There's so much incredible content here to support you in your breakthroughs, so don't miss out. As always, thank you so much for being here with me today. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas. This is Karen Ramsay-Smith, and we want to remind you to make every day a great day for a breakthrough. We'll see you guys next time. Bye, everybody.